Good morning, everybody. And it's great to be back to Jeju after 2.5 years, right? And thank you again for the forum organizer to invite me to this speech. And I'm going to talk about in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about two things. One is to give a quick update of global return to service. And the second topic is, I think it's the right time for us to talk about the pathway for resumption of cruises in this region, right? Okay. So the ship on the picture, as all you know, is a Wonder of the Sea. And the ship was built for this region and to be deployed from March out of Shanghai because of COVID that we have to cancel the plan. But we're building the sister ship of Wonder of the Sea, Utopia of the Sea. That ship is also built for this region, right? When times come, if we have the right policy that we can welcome the Utopia of the Sea, the world's largest cruise ship, the newest ship in this region. And the Royal Caribbean International also building another new class of ship, the Icon of the Sea, which will be launched in the second half of the year. So my CEO and the president said to me that a lot of ships in pipeline built for this region. So now the only thing we need to do is to get the protocols restriction removed so that we can be back as soon as possible. Right. First of all, regarding the global the status, right? As all this the previous speakers talk about, it's a full comeback of the industry. So you look at since the December 2020, right? The cruise industry already partially in operation. Then it picked up the speed from the summer of last year, and also accelerated again since the February this year. So far that in total that the 100 countries reopened. The country markets reopened either as a home ports or the destination ports. In total, so far, the over 6 million passengers sail with the cruises in one of the cruise areas in the world. If you look at the total number of brands, right? In total, the 90 international cruise brands and 389 ships are in operation by August. Then here we can see a list of the top 10 the mainstream the cruise industry cruise line brands, from Royal Caribbean International to P&O, that they are all the 100% back to the operation, with some exception the Costa, the Princess, but they're very close. Also at the level of 80 or 90%. So this is the current status of the global industry, right? It's we are all back in operation. The Asia compared to the Europe and North America is the last the cruise area, which is only partially resumed in operation. We see the cruise resumption in Singapore. Singapore has done a great job in pioneering resumption of cruises. And in Hong Kong, we have a resumption cruises for briefly because of the protocol too over-restrictive. So we have to move the Spectrum of the Sea from Singapore, from Hong Kong to Singapore, right? But the Hong Kong government now realize that they need to change, right? They need to change. But in Northeast Asia, apart from domestic cruises in Japan, maybe in Korea, the international cruise has not been resumed yet. I understand the second step of cruise resumption in Japan is going to be for international cruises home porting from Japan. But that's not happened. I understand it's supposed to happen in Q2 because of current pandemic situation in Japan. They postpone. So this means that this region is a relatively conservative region that they took the late steps in resumption of the cruises. And here I can share the result of a survey conducted by cruiseline.com. It surveys the 3,000 cruisers. These are seasonal cruises about their opinion, their plan for taking cruises in the future. 98.7% of these people says that they have been already taking at least one cruise, right, over the last 12 months. And then 91.4% of people say that they plan to take a cruise within the next year. And 86.7% of people said they have already booked one or more cruises, right? So you see, people basically, they back to normal, back to the status pre-COVID, that to be the regular cruisers, right? And you also see the clientele proportion is well balanced from different ages. But one thing in particular I want to mention, this has happened not only in North America, in Europe, but also happened in Singapore and Hong Kong, that we see younger generation who are taking cruises, right? These people, much of these people, many of these people, they used to be cruise rejectors, right? They don't see the cruises for them. They see the cruises for elderly people. But now, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in North America, in Europe, you see the Z generation, Generation Z, or the millennial, they take a cruise. And I hope this is a sustainable trend for the future, that this will means that our market will be penetrated more, right? And talking about economic contribution, right? That worldwide, that every 24 cruises worldwide, they support, they will create one full-time job, right? So the job creation is a huge benefit from a cruise industry. And the cruise also spend on average $750 per person on the cruise consumption. 6 out of 10 people, right, who have taken cruises say that they have returned to the destination that they first visited via cruise ship. So destination is still important for the cruise, itinerary, right? And the Royal Caribbean International is leading the way for the return to service, right? We are the first international cruise line to resume cruises in U.S. and also globally. And so far, under our group, that is 63 ships in full operation, and 100% back to the service by July. And so far, we have 3 million passengers, right? 3 million passengers they have sailed with us after return to service. So one of the things people often ask, right, how safe is the cruise ship? Because the Diamond Princess incident left a very negative impression that the cruise ship is one of the most risk venue for consumers, but that mindset has been changed, right? During the pandemic, because the vaccination is not 100%, productive, and also there's no special drug which can absolutely prevent the catch of the virus, and the people see that the cruise ship is not the only venue which will cause the infection. Anywhere the people gathering together that could have such a risk. But now people's risk tolerance level getting higher and higher. And the people changing their mind that how humans should deal with the virus. So this happened in US, it happened in Europe, happened in UK, and this take place in Singapore. People changing mindset. Even in Japan, in Korea, and in Hong Kong of China, I see the mentality change. It is substantial. I see this will happen in mainland China, right? It's changing. So we all know that the US CDC recently ended the guidelines for the prevention for the cruise line industry. That decision signifies that they do not see that cruise ship are more risky than other hospitality venues, right? There's no need to impose special restriction or protocol for the cruise line industry, right? So this mentality will be increasingly acceptable to the public in the world. Given the limited time, I wouldn't go much in detail, but over the last 2.5 years, cruise industry has built the most stringent, sophisticated protocols to guarantee and safeguard the public health on the cruise ship, right? And there is no reason for believing that cruise ships are more risky than other hospitality venue like Disney. Let me give you an example. I recently visited Disney. Disney is great. But to get into Disney, that you don't need a PCR test, right? You need a vaccination record, a certificate. But to board on our cruise ship, right, at least in this region, that you need a vaccination, you need a PCR test, you need to make sure your temperature is normal. So this is a cruise ship. Then on board the cruise ship, that you have the zones, right, the green zone, amber zone, and the red zone, that if you found any suspect, you can test them immediately. That you have onboard a rapid test on board, you have quarantine the area, and you have all sorts of the measures you can take immediately. This does not happen in other hospitality venue in Disney, right? In Disney, if somebody got a positive, you don't know, and until 2 days later, you find, oh, somebody got a positive, and he or she been visited Disney. But it's already too late then to chase the close contact. But on our ship, you can chase the close contact immediately, right? When the ship back to the port, and we will give your government a list. This is a list of people that they are positive, and this is a close contact. They're all tested. The results are clear, right? So cruise ship is really a safe bubble. It's a closed loop, right? We can control the imported risk. We can also take the emergency measures to safeguard the public interest. So, and I'm going to talk about the final point is that the pathway for cruise ship resumption in this region. I want to use Jeju as an example. And I'm talking in the context of the resuming cruises from China, from mainland China, home ports from Hong Kong to Korea, to South Korea, to Japan. And that doesn't mean that the other markets are not important. Japan market is important, and the Korea market itself is important, Singapore, they're all important markets, right? But I'm talking about mainland China, and it's because this is one of the major markets over the 10 years before the pandemic, which drives the growth of Asia cruise tourism. And I believe it will continue to drive this when times comes. but we don't have a timetable for resumption of cruises, and we don't have a roadmap. This is why at the VIP the session before the forum that I talked to the Vice Minister of Maritime and Fishing Industry, that I think it's necessary to have an intergovernmental talk between South Korea and China about the resumption of tourism and in particularly the resumption of cruises, because the cruises from China to South Korea has been restricted since 2017. That has not been lifted, right? Even the borders are open. If that restriction is to remain there, that we still won't be able to operate cruises from China to South Korea, so this is a problem. So we have to instead of waiting, we need to have this sort of intergovernment discussion, right, for prepare the right moment. And so I think I give a very some tentative timetable, right, that for step-by-step resumption of cruises, cruise course to South Korea, say to Jeju. Why I want to talk about Jeju? Not only because I'm in Jeju, I need to say nothing about Jeju, but also because Jeju is relatively isolated from mainland of Korea. To begin with, the operation here is appropriate, right? Because people need to take an experiment. So I think the first step, say, in Q1 23. I'm very conservative. I'm not radical. I think that actually, in my view, the cruises can be resumed, say, by means of cruise to nowhere or technical can be done from China now, right? But let's give a government a little bit more time, right, to prepare the changes, right? Say in Q1 that we will be able to run the cruises to nowhere out of mainland China ports, from Shanghai, from Tianjin, right, and also from Hong Kong, right, and to make a technical call on Jeju, right. And the technical call is basically cruise to nowhere, but it's international cruises, and without any debarkation of people and cargoes, with its contactless of call. So this can prevent any imported risk to the ship, to the local community, and the government. It will be easy for government to begin with such an itinerary, right? So if we can do this in Q1, then we will be in a good position to resume calls on Jeju, right? Say in Q2, right? In Q2, and during technical call period, that we can make sure the protocols between countries are aligned, and the people have time to gain the confidence for the public, for the media, so that this pave way for the actual call on the Jeju, right? Then I hope that in the summer of next year, that we are talking about full resumption of the cruise industry in the region. I'm talking about Northeast Asia, the last frontier of the world, right? I wouldn't go too much detail about technical call, because the reason I'm talking about technical call, because there is a precedence of a technical call in the past, that when we have to cancel the call on Jeju, and but the itinerary is already made, so we have to make a technical call on Jeju, right? This has already happened during the MERS period, during the Silent Missile Crisis period, during the island dispute between China and Japan, and we have to cancel call on the Fukuokas, but we have to make a technical call rather than actual call. This has already been done before, so it's easy to implement, right? But now the purpose is different. The purpose is that to allow the government to approve a step-by-step of a resumption of cruises. So they feel they are in control, right? I think while waiting for the green light for the government, I think industry should work together. I think the cruise companies, the ports, and also the handlers, we should come together and talk about the right protocols, right? I give you an example, right? One of the things people inevitably will talk about, if in the future we found one case on board, right? How we handle this, right? And I take a European example, that right? In the last summer, one of the protocol agreed by all the European ports which are participating in the resumption of cruises is that if some case happen, on the itinerary there are at least 2 ports, they will agree to accept the ship. So Diamond Princess incident will not happen. 1 or 2 ports will say, okay, we will accept your ship to call and take measures, right? Emergency measures. So in this region, that we have short cruises, we have longer cruises. I think for the short cruises, it is feasible that between the ports, say between Shanghai and Jeju, we agree. For short cruises, home porting from Shanghai or from Tianjin to call at Jeju, right? If they found some cases, right, the ship will go back to Shanghai or Tianjin, right? Then, of course, for longer cruises, 2 weeks cruises, right, we have to come to an agreement if we have cases, right, and the ship is near Japan or Korea, not arranging for near the home port, say Singapore or Sydney, right? So that one of the ports in the itinerary need to agree that to accept that ship. So this is the lesson we learned from Diamond Princess incident. So I think for the longer cruises, it's relatively difficult to reach a kind of agreement. But for short cruises, that's doable. So this is just an example. There are some other measures, right? We need to have some alignment about the testing, about the vaccination, right? If China has one set of protocol, Korea has another set of protocol, Japan has even a different one, it will be very difficult. Even government say, now, green light is, you're giving the green light, you can resume the cruises. But the protocols are different. Then you still can't do it. And the consumer would not want to go. Their protocols are so different, right? All right, I think I kind of overrun my speech. I want to stop here, and I just want to say that although in this region we don't have timetable, we don't have a roadmap, I think the very first thing we need to do is to make sure we have a roadmap. I mean, this is not some agreement agree within the industry. It has to be the government need to be involved, right? Some intergovernment talk is necessary. Then within industry, we really need to use like a clean network or other organization framework to sit down and to discuss about the protocols. And we have a lot to learn from Singapore, from Europe, from the US. This is what we need to do. This is urgent. Thank you very much.